D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025, The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Willie Donick out today. And we'll talk about Willie in just a moment. Willie is getting a much-deserved, much-needed
voice break.
A picturesque day in our fair city. Beautiful weather.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope you are having a wonderful Wednesday. And I do want to start the show by giving Willie Donick his flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have been listening to our show or watching the FanDuel Sports Network broadcasts over the past couple of days, you've probably noticed that Willie is losing his voice. He has gutted through back-to-back games for the Predators, so we told him to take it easy today. We hope to have Willie back tomorrow. The Predators are back in action tomorrow. A busy schedule. So we told Willie, just take it easy today. You deserve it. So we've got you covered.
He deserves it, like you said. What a game he called yesterday. And I know it was, it was hard for him, to try to rest his voice in a situation like that. They even brought Hal up, to the booth to give him a little reprieve, but Willie gutted it out, and it's just too bad that the game ended the way it did.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about that.
But he gutted it out, and that's that's the thing when you're covering a team, a sports team like that. It's like, man, even when you're not feeling well, you got to gut it through. You have to. And, Willie's been on his, I think, 9 games in 15 days, something like that.
It's a condensed
a lot of
schedule
traveling.
This season.
Yeah,
yep.
A lot of traveling. So I'm him doing all the talking, a lot of talking. Eventually it does wear you down, I'm sure. But hopefully, with the day's rest, he's able to be back up and going by tomorrow.
That was Willie's flu game.
Yeah, that's the Michael Jordan game.
The worst thing, by the way, that can happen in a game, being called by a play-by-play broadcaster with a sore throat, is a buzzer beater.
Yes.
And that's what happened when Steven Stamkos forced overtime last night. David, will you please play Willie's call of Stamkos' game-tying goal?
Sitting around, taken there by Eriksson Ek. It's kept in 2 seconds. Stamkos one-timer. He scores! Steven Stamkos ties it. That's gonna count. So they're trying to.
Oh,
that
man.
Hurts listening to him.
It hurts my throat hearing Willie's voice in that clip. Oh my goodness!
There was nothing he can do. He had to go with it. He just had to go with the flow.
That's going on the Willie Donick highlight reel.
Yes,
absolutely. So we will have you covered today as Willie rests his velvety pipes. We hope to have Willie back on the show tomorrow. The Predators are back in action tomorrow against the Flyers at Bridgestone Arena. A couple of texters, one on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com says, Willie sounded rough last night. I was cracking up. Joey from Bellevue says, Willie gutting it out is like D-Mace playing through his injuries. Amazing. Plus, it didn't help with Mace arguing with him yesterday about Jeffrey Simmons. That is true.
But Willie, he asked for that. He was pushing it too.
But as I always say, the one thing that I try to do every show is to push either your buttons or Willie's buttons. And when the two of you go at it, that's the best stuff. So perhaps I brought it along. Maybe I'm a little bit at fault for Willie sounding so hoarse. But Willie, get well soon, friend. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Also, at the risk of sounding like a homer, the Predators got hosed last night. Absolutely hosed last night in their 3-2 overtime loss to the Wild. So as you saw or heard, you may have also seen it if you were watching the game. Yeah. Steven Stamkos forces overtime at the buzzer in regulation. By the way, that was tied for the latest game-tying goal in franchise history. The Wild won the game on an awarded goal after Justus Annunen knocked off the net during a Wild scoring chance. Michael McCarron after the game did not mince words, saying, quote, I feel like we got screwed tonight. And I can't say I blame him. So here is what happened. The Wild were attacking. It's 3-on-3 overtime. I believe it was Kirill Kaprizov made a pass to Marcus Johansson, and Annunen, trying to push off to stop the potential scoring chance, knocked the net off its pegs. And Johansson shot the puck, missed, collected the puck, and backhanded it over the goal line, even though the net was off. The goal horn goes off. The Wild are celebrating. The Predators are pissed. It goes to review. And the review supported the referee's call on the ice that Annunen's actions caused the net to be displaced prior to the puck crossing the goal line. Therefore, the goal counts. Predators lose. So, not to get too into the weeds on the NHL rulebook, but basically, if the attacking player has an imminent scoring opportunity prior to the goal being displaced, that player gets awarded the goal. I don't think Annunen knocked the puck. I don't think Annunen knocked the goalpost off deliberately. It doesn't matter, really. The one thing that I take umbrage with is the idea of the imminent scoring opportunity and whether Johansson's shot would have gone in had the net not been dislodged. I don't think it would have. I think it would have hit either the post or the outside of the net. So I think, quite frankly, the Predators got hosed last night. And I don't want to sound like a big homer. I don't think I am a homer. I think I've proven that. But I do think the Predators, deserved better last night than what they got. But just a really odd ending to that game.
Yeah, it was. Listen, I'm not going to claim that I know the rules when it comes to this, or I was aware what the rules were when it came to this. But it did seem as if once he pushed off and the first initial goal didn't go in, the net was displaced already.
Yes.
It was clear before he even got his stick back on the puck again.
If I recall correctly, the post where the Wild player was shooting the puck had yet to move. It was the other post that was knocked off, which is why I don't think Johansson would have scored there, because the post on that side of the net had not been dislodged, and the puck, I think, hit the outside of the net. So that's why I have an issue with the call, because I don't think the puck would have gone in.
It wouldn't have gone in.
Right.
It shows that when he hit it, it hit outside of the net. And then he hit it again, and it went through. Well, the goalpost, the goal was already off, but then it crossed the line. So he hit it twice before it went in. He hits it once, and I'm not even talking about the initial hit. The initial one was blocked. He got it off the rebound. Well, he hit it. The net was already off. He hit it and then hit it again. So if he would have hit it a third time, would it have went in? Would they have counted that as a goal if Annunen would have got it the second time on a bounce?
It's a good question. I thought that the review would have shown that the puck wouldn't have gone in had the net stayed on its pegs. Steven Stamkos addressed it after the game. I thought he had a good explanation. Here was Steven Stamkos after the loss last night.
See, a weird play. I mean, I can see the confusion, but the confusing part for us was why it was so emphatically called a goal. I get it. Listen, the net came off, but if the puck goes in right away, no problem if the net's off. But he missed the net, and the puck actually bounced back to him because the net was sideways, and then he hit the back of the net, and it popped back. So my interpretation of the rule is that, if the net wasn't off, that puck wouldn't have came back to him to have an open net. It would have went behind the net, and then the play would have been blown dead because the net was off. I understand the net came off. I don't think there was any intent from our goaltender to knock it off. It came off twice today, but just I mean, from our vantage point, it's obviously going to differ from theirs, but we thought the puck came back to him on the second attempt because the net was off. If not, the puck goes behind the net, and we live to fight another day. So that's where we didn't agree with the call.
Unless they are saying, because it has to be that he deliberately knocked the net off the post.
So that doesn't matter.
It doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter if the goalie knocks off the post deliberately or accidentally. That doesn't matter
Okay.
when it comes to the rule that ultimately awarded the Wild the goal.
So why did they award the goal if they went back on replay, saw that when he hit it, it hit outside the net, bounced back, and then he hits it again? So why then give him 2 shots at a goal, 2 shots at scoring, when it should have been called after the first one once it hit the side of the net?
So the officials must have determined that the Wild had an imminent scoring opportunity. Annunen knocked the net off its moorings, and by doing that, prevented the Wild from scoring on that play. That must be what the NHL's interpretation of this is.
So
Again,
had he had blocked the second shot and just covered it, would they have called? What would they have called?
These are all good questions. They really are, and it's truly hard to decipher exactly what happened here. My issue with it is I don't believe that the Wild would have scored on the initial play had the net not been displaced. And because of that, I don't think the Wild should have been awarded a goal. Again, I had to go through, I actually downloaded the NHL rule book last night because I apparently had that much time on my hands. I downloaded the NHL rule book last night and found that rule. By the way, it's rule 63.7 in case you want to look it up yourself. And, it is what it is. Andrew Burnett bit his tongue in his post-game news conference. He did what coaches are probably supposed to do in that situation. You heard Stamkos there. Michael McCarron said, "We got screwed." I don't disagree with that assertion, but the Predators lose in 3-on-3 overtime again. They lost in 3-on-3 overtime on Monday against Vancouver. So the Predators, 2 consecutive 3-on-3 overtime losses. They will be back in action tomorrow against the Flyers. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6, right here on 102.5 The Game. Brandon and Hermitage says, Max did a great job reading the actual rule last night. You go, Max Hers. And by the way, shout out to our friend Hal Gill, who will join us in the 5 o'clock hour for Silly Underdog Picks. Got called up from the radio broadcast last night into the TV booth
ready
to help Willie, because Willie was struggling. He was. But that's how much Willie Donna cares about the Predators, and that's how much Willie Donna cares about you.
Listen, when you
Predators
called up,
fans,
you got to be ready. Ain't no getting ready. Hal was ready.
Hal was ready. So I assume Max was doing the radio broadcast by himself for most of the game last night. So shout out to Max.
Okay, so what did you, because it was a back and forth game, meaning it was some really good defense on both sides. Obviously, the Wild was winning right up until 3 seconds or 0.03, whatever it was, seconds left before Stamkos hit the game-tying goal and what ultimately sent him to the overtime. But what did you see from the team? Did you see any improvement? They had opportunities to score goals, and they didn't early. But did you see a better Predator team than you seen the night before?
So overall, I do think the Predators have shown improvement in the overall process. The issue is that improvement is small, I would say, and it's not translating to goals. The Predators still have a hard time scoring goals. They are one of the lowest scoring teams in the NHL. As I pull up those numbers, the Predators are 30th in the NHL in goal scoring. They have a hard time getting past 2 goals. They did it against Vancouver on Monday. They did not do it against Minnesota last night. So although the process, I do see some incremental
Mhm.
improvement, but not enough that I think the Predators are going to go on some tear. But at least the Predators are collecting points. 5, 6, and 4 through 15 games, 14 points, a points percentage of .467. That's not great, but they're still in the mix, which is not what we could have said at this time last year.
Oh no, not at
So,
all.
look, I think the Predators still have a lot of work to do. I think that Steven Stamkos, despite the fact that he scored last night, he scored the type of goal that Steven Stamkos and only a few others in the NHL can score, a long-range one-timer that had some mustard on it.
Mhm.
No pun intended to the Predators mustard jerseys of the past. Steven Stamkos is one of a few players in the league that can score that goal. But he's still not much of a factor at 5-on-5. And it was good to see him get on the board because we've been riding Steven Stamkos for the past few weeks, but still have some concerns about Stamkos and whether he's a fit for this team and what the Predators should do there. So, look, the Predators at the very least, they're keeping things interesting.
Yes.
And that's more than we can say about them last season. So, we'll see how the Predators rebound. Again, I think the Predators got hosed last night, and that's going to happen every now and then. I'm not a blame the refs guy.
Mhm.
I think last night was a blame the ref situation, but
Oh,
that's just
definitely.
me.
Yes.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Predators. Let's call it controversial loss to the Minnesota Wild in overtime last night. 3-2 in overtime on an awarded goal. If you have thoughts on that, you can get them in now. Again, 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, we have finally heard from Titans GM Mike Borgonzi. He addressed reporters this morning after the NFL trade deadline. A lot of really interesting things that Mike Borgonzi addressed today. We'll hit on those coming up next. 615-737-1025. D-Mace Vinganadonic is presented to you by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Derek Mason and Adam Vingan here with you. Willie Donick with a well-deserved and much-needed day off to rest those pipes. We hope to have Willie back tomorrow when the Predators are back in action against the Flyers at Bridgestone Arena. One quick Predators thought on our text line. Could that signature Stamkos goal be the one that gets him going? Well, the Predators certainly hope so. And as I said before the break, the goal that Steven Stamkos scored last night, there are maybe 10 players in the NHL who can score that goal. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be helpful for the Predators if Steven Stamkos could get going. But it's been a rough start for Steven Stamkos. He's been a non-factor at 5-on-5. I looked this up earlier. Over his past 50 games, so going back to last season, he has 10 points at 5-on-5 in his past 50 games. That's not good. Not good at all. So we'll see if that goal can get Stamkos going. The Predators are back in action tomorrow at home against the Flyers. Earlier today, we heard from Titans GM Mike Borgonzi. Mike Borgonzi doesn't do a lot of news conferences. This was a rare treat, I would say. He did it without Chad Brinker. And I like that. I like that Mike Borgonzi was there by himself, because when Borgonzi and Brinker are up there at the same time, I feel Borgonzi is perhaps too deferential to Chad Brinker. Maybe it's because Brinker has the bigger title. So when Brinker is there, more reporters want to ask more questions of Brinker. But I feel like in the past, when the two of them have done news conferences together, Borgonzi just ends up sitting there and barely answering questions.
Yeah, I think Brinker tends to sort of take all the questions, and he's the guy that sets the conversation. And then he sort of defers every once in a while, unless a question is asked of Borgonzi. He typically defers every once in a while to Borgonzi, but not in a way where Borgonzi can really kind of be a GM and really talk about the things that he wanted to talk about. And I think today was one of those days where he was able to, be more of what I believe they should have brought him in to do, is to fix this team, fix this roster. He sounded like a guy that had a plan in place, understanding all the warts in his roster. He was honest about his assessment of this roster. Also, he was optimistic about a few of the young players. So this is what I think the fans want to see and need to see. They don't want to see Brinker. They don't. Regardless if Brinker's doing a good job, they still tie Brinker to Rand Carthon and the stuff that happened. Borgonzi is not tied to anybody. New hire. So the fans want to hear Borgonzi. They don't want to hear Brinker anymore. So hopefully moving forward, we will hear more of Borgonzi in settings like this than we will the two of them together.
I thought Borgonzi sounded assertive, which I liked. And perhaps you can disagree with what he said and how he envisions the Titans moving forward. But you have to, at least I think you have to admire that he believes it. He sounds like he believes it. So you can disagree with his plan, but I appreciate the fact that he was so self-assured in what he's doing. And one of the questions that we knew he was going to be asked was about Jeffrey Simmons.
Yes.
So yesterday, when the New York Jets traded Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys, we talked about this. Willie and I said that if the Cowboys offered us the same package for Jeffrey Simmons as they offered to the Jets for Quinnen Williams, we would have done it without hesitation. A second-round pick in 2026, if I'm not mistaken, a first-round pick in 2027, and a young defensive tackle from the Cowboys.
Mhm.
Derek, you said absolutely not.
Nope.
2 first-round picks or no deal. So, at the news conference today, Paul Kaharski
Mhm.
asked Mike Borgonzi straight up, did you consider trading Jeffrey Simmons? Did you consider Dallas's offer? Did you get an offer from Dallas?
Mhm.
Here is what Mike Borgonzi had to say.
Did you talk to Dallas about Jeff, considering what Dallas gave up for Williams?
I'm not going to get into who we talked. We talked to 31 other teams for the past 3 weeks. So I will not get into any particulars of any moves that we did not make. But I will say with Jeff, just because you asked about Jeff, and I'm not going to talk about any other players here. Jeff is invaluable to us right now, to where we want to go.
When you say building for the future, though, as you did with Draymond, does that not enter into the picture with Jeff as well as you're probably your most valuable asset, that could be traded?
Well, you have to weigh those options, and you say it's a business, but like when you weigh those options, you look at it and you say, what do we have here? And he's a pillar here in this organization for what you want, and he's one of the best players in the league in his position. And the way he works every day at practice, I don't know if I've seen a defensive lineman superstar like him, just empty the tank every day at practice. It's impressive. And when your best player does that and younger guys look to him, that's what you want. That's what I'm talking about being a standard.
So that was Mike Borgonzi addressing Jeffrey Simmons. Remember, there were multiple reports leading up to the NFL trade deadline that Jeffrey Simmons was considered off limits. The Tennessee Titans would not entertain any trade discussions regarding Jeffrey Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Willie and I, and a lot of you, were like, why the hell would they do that? Jeffrey Simmons, as John Glennon asked Mike Borgonzi in that clip, Jeffrey Simmons is the one player on your roster who can get you the type of trade we saw the Jets make with the Cowboys for Quinnen Williams. First round pick, second round pick, young defensive tackle. But as you heard there from Borgonzi is on Derek's side on this, that the Titans see the value of Jeffrey Simmons. They find more value in Jeffrey Simmons being on the roster despite the state of the team. They see more value in that than trading him for the assets they could get back in return.
Yeah, it was, it would have been, and this is why it would have been really organizational malpractice once again had they traded away Jeffrey Simmons for this reason. And Borgonzi spelled it out to everybody. And I don't know why when I say it, it's like, oh, no. But then your own GM said the same thing that I said. They are devoid of leaders. Not only is Jeff playing really good, he's grown into that leadership role. And your GM told you on 2 separate occasions today, one of the reasons that Brownlee wasn't kept was because they don't have enough leadership in that locker room.
And we'll get to Brownlee in just a moment.
In so many words, that's what he said. And then he tells you out of his mouth, listen, we don't have many leaders. And Jeff, the way he's leading is what we want or how we want other guys to lead in him being an example. People, that means more than getting a draft pick or 2. Unless you're offering me 2 first-round picks, then no, because I know where my team is at. Y'all think y'all know where the team is at? I know, meaning Borgonzi, that's what I'm saying. Borgonzi knows where his team is at, and he knows where his team is deficient. And leadership is one of the key areas they are deficient in. They don't have enough of them. He spelled it out. Cam Ward. That's it. When you talk about pillars, Cam Ward, Jeffrey Simmons, and who else did he say? He said DK's playing well. The young guys, but they don't have enough leaders. And when you are a ball club like the Titans, to just, disregard leadership, again, it's malpractice. Every business company needs great leaders. Any company that wants to succeed and consistently succeed, they need great leadership. They don't take great leadership and say, you know what, we don't need it. We're going to send you, we're going to let you go sign with that other company over there. We're going to allow them to give you a little bit more money. No, we're going to keep you here because you've proven, you've grown into that leadership role. That's what Jeff did. They ain't going to just give it away for a second and a first. You got to come with a little bit more because he's worth more to me. So if you want him, you got to show me how much you want him. And obviously, a second and a first wasn't enough for the Titans. And that's cool. That is all right, because I know that a team that doesn't have leadership is not a team. It's not. It's just a bunch of guys out there playing.
Weston Hermitage on our text line says, seems like the Titans kept Big Jeff for leadership reasons. Where have I heard that before? Oh, yeah, me and D-Mace yesterday. I'm starting to like this Borgomania. I am
Borgomania.
Borgomania. I am partial to the Gonzi scheme.
Yeah, I'm still with the Gonzi scheme.
I prefer the Gonzi scheme. I can't remember what Robbie and Joe. They've got a combination for Brinker and Borgonzi. I can't remember what it is.
Borgonzi?
Berserker, I believe it is. Berserker. I want to say.
I like that one.
That sounds right.
Needs work, Robbie and Joe.
I like that because it sounds like one of those men that used to fight with your little video game.
Yeah, like Rock'em Sock'em
Yes,
Robots
exactly.
or something. I prefer the Gonzi scheme because no one's ever been hurt by a Ponzi scheme, right?
Yeah, no one ever.
Yeah.
No one's ever had their lives ruined by a Ponzi scheme.
Not
But
at
maybe
all.
the Gonzi scheme will help the Tennessee Titans get back to where they are. One texter says, when your GM says it's a business, but you have issues, it is a business. It's not personal. The team is 1-7. The team is actually 1-8.
Yeah.
Needing a great team in 2 years, it's really bad.
It was a business decision. That's what that was. I think people are looking at it because he's saying leadership, that's personal. That's not personal. You are a leader in the locker room. That's a business decision. We need leaders in our locker room. Again, I don't know. A organization or a franchise or a business that is consistently producing and doing well, show me their leadership. And I guarantee you they have great leadership that goes with a football team or a basketball team or a baseball team or a hockey team. Those that do it consistently well, it's because they have good leadership. Why do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens and some of these other teams that are the Kansas City Chiefs that are consistently and just in the playoffs all the time? Yeah, they have good players, but they got good leadership. So within the locker room. So I get people saying, hey, listen, we need picks, this and that and that and this. But okay, we go get all those picks, but don't have no leadership. Again, picks, talent without leadership is just a bunch of guys running around saying me all day. That's what it is. And Borgonzi's telling you he doesn't want that. He doesn't want those type of individuals, at least not now, because he doesn't have enough leaders. So if you don't have enough, don't give away what you got. And he's playing really well. No, I'm not doing that.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Your reaction to Mike Borgonzi's response about not trading Jeffrey Simmons. We'll get your reaction next. 615-737-1025. We will also discuss another player who a lot of Titans fans wanted to hear about from Mike Borgonzi. He finally addressed what happened with that player, and we will discuss that coming up next as well. 615-737-1025. Join the Chase and Big Joe show this Friday from noon to 3 at Reunion Township at 550 Old Lagardo Road in Mount Juliet, a brand new luxury apartment community nestled perfectly between Mount Juliet and Lebanon. Resort-style living that you deserve. For more information, go to reuniontownship.com.
Derek Mason here. If you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com. It's a goose breeze. Oh my goodness. I swear. Okay, here we go. Bam. I'm sorry, my good folks over at Cool Springs MD. I know you heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. See, that's what happens when you have a bunch of stuff you got to read throughout the day. But I appreciate it, and I am very, very grateful for that. But if you have set out to lose some weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a resolution or a goal to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. But I got some news, and it's good because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tender nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
Steve Mace, Vingan and Donick 1025, The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We are reacting to Titans GM Mike Borgonzi's news conference earlier today. First time we've heard from Mike Borgonzi in a bit. As we both said in the previous segment, we like the fact that Borgonzi did the news conference by himself. I liked hearing Borgonzi actually describe his plan. And again, you may disagree with it, and we will talk about it more today and over the next couple of days. But I'm glad that he had the opportunity to articulate it versus Chad Brinker, who, quite frankly, I don't think does a great job in those news conference settings. Some people are more comfortable than others in those news conference settings. I would not classify Chad Brinker as someone who is comfortable taking a lot of probing questions.
Mhm.
We were talking about Jeffrey Simmons, and we will continue to take your reaction, 615-737-1025. But Mike Borgonzi also addressed a trade that he made like 6 weeks ago. Jarvis Brownlee was traded in like mid-September, mid to late September.
Mhm.
And we haven't heard a darn thing about why the Titans traded Jarvis Brownlee. Now, we've all talked about how the Titans perhaps didn't see Jarvis Brownlee as a fit within the culture, which is what Mike Borgonzi essentially confirmed today. Here is what Mike Borgonzi said about trading Jarvis Brownlee in September.
The first trade we made with Jarvis Brownlee was listen, I'm aware of it. It was controversial around here because he's a young player that, was ascending. And, you're evaluating the fit. And without getting into a lot of details, I like Jarvis, and I think he's going to be a really good player in this league. We don't have the culture right now sometimes to help guys develop right now. And, we thought at the time, just some of the habits weren't conducive to building the culture right now. And I know it's hard to understand because he was a young player, and I wish Jarvis nothing but the best.
That was Mike Borgonzi. And I thought that comment, Derek, was illuminating. The "we don't have the culture" comment.
Mhm.
And Borgonzi did not address specifically what wasn't working with Jarvis Brownlee, but if you listen to the news conference, there were little breadcrumbs. Borgonzi talked about having a team first mentality and having attention to detail and having accountability
Mhm.
and wanting to get better and all of those things. So you can connect the dots. And clearly the Titans thought that Jarvis Brownlee wasn't doing those things. But I thought that one comment within that clip, that we don't have the culture yet to basically make leaders out of these young players. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was. Because the one thing you want to do, and this is what they have said, is to draft, retain, develop, and retain. He was a guy that Borgonzi, it came out of his mouth. He was an ascending player. He was a guy that was a starter on their team, playing well. He still had some growing to go, but I think he was playing well. But you chose to trade him away because this locker room isn't ready to sort of deal with that constant disruption in a locker room. I don't know what it was. Borgonzi didn't say. I can guess what it was, but then that wouldn't be fair to Brownlee. That wouldn't be fair to Jarvis Brownlee. But I would say this, that typically when you have a young player, because I've seen these things. I played with guys that had immense talent, and for whatever reason, it just didn't mesh well with the locker room. It just didn't mesh well with some coaches. So they, end up trading guys or releasing guys. So there's something that was going on that obviously didn't vibe with what Borgonzi and Brinkard and Callahan and now McCoy, that they just didn't want to cause more harm than not. So it's telling because the way they play defense, you must communicate, but you got to be physical. You got to be aggressive. And he fit the mold of what Denard Wilson wants from his defense. So I wonder what the conversation was with Denard Wilson about Jarvis Brownlee. Did Denard Wilson get to a point where he was like, man, again, I don't know what happened, but did he get to a point where he was like, okay, I think it's best we do trade it, because ultimately it affects his job and what he has to do, because now he has to go to his third, fourth corner. And now they're even down even more corners. So they're playing guys that they didn't originally plan on playing. They had to play them. So I wonder what that conversation was with Denard Wilson and the explanation that he was giving. Or did Denard Wilson go and say, hey, listen, this kid, he's not going to get it. Good player, but he's just not going to get it here. So did they make a move after that? Because it seemed to have come out of nowhere. I knew they were disappointed in the holding. We all were. We all thought this kid got too much talent to be holding. Trust in your feet. At least that's what I was saying. Trust in your feet and your hips. You understand the game. Trust that. Don't grab nobody. So they knew that was going to be a part of his development and him getting better. But it was some other stuff going on behind the scenes that they just frankly said, you know what? Immense talent, you're sending, but we're just going to trade you away. And that right there, when a GM doesn't want to explain, and he shouldn't explain. But when you say all of these glowing things about a player, but then you trade him away and he's young, yeah. Something was going on in that locker room that not only did the GM say, you know what, I think it may have been the coaches first.
It goes back to what we were talking about with leadership.
Yes.
Because you know who Borgonzi would have loved to have in his locker room for Jarvis Brownlee? Kevin Byard.
Yes.
But Kevin Byard's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And L'Jarius Sneed certainly hasn't shown much leadership when he's been around, when he's been healthy. So I understand. I understand where Borgonzi is coming from. I understand where you're coming from. Borgonzi brought up the culture in Kansas City. That's a winning culture. He was around that culture for a long time. He mentioned Patrick Mahomes. He mentioned Travis Kelce, and knowing what it takes to win, knowing what you have to do every day to be the best you can be. But I did think it was really interesting that Borgonzi admitted, we are not there right now. Basically, we are not a franchise that can handle. This is the first word that comes to mind. I don't think it's the right word. Knuckleheads. I was going to say malcontent, but knuckleheads is good too.
In a sense.
I thought that was interesting. We will continue to react to Mike Borgonzi's news conference. You can as well. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll continue to react to Mike Borgonzi's news conference. Also in the 4 o'clock hour, we will get into the first CFP rankings. Vanderbilt lands at number 16 in the first CFP rankings. We will discuss that in the 4 o'clock hour as well. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Willie Donick with the day off. We basically begged Willie to take the day off because of how his throat sounds right now, how his voice sounds. As you heard, if you watched the Predators game last night, or if you've been listening to our show over the past couple of days, you can tell Willie was struggling. And after I heard him call the game-tying goal for Steven Stamkos, which hurt my throat listening to, I told him, we all told him, please don't come to work today. So Willie is at home resting.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he hasn't spoken a single word today. He needs to be a mime today or write things on a blackboard or whiteboard or something.
Just text.
That's right. I guess you could text.
Yes.
A little old fashioned with the whiteboard or the
Yes.
blackboard, I guess. But we hope to have Willie back tomorrow. The Predators are back in action tomorrow. So someone needs to call the game. Let's continue reacting to what we heard from Mike Borgonzi earlier today. As I said before, I liked that Mike Borgonzi did the news conference by himself. I thought he handled himself well. I thought he spoke confidently. I just, as I said before, when Brinker is there, first of all, Brinker overshadows Borgonzi.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the news conference that Borgonzi and Brinker did when the Titans fired Brian Callahan. Now, I understand that Brinker probably had a lot more to do with the firing of Brian Callahan than Borgonzi, but Borgonzi just I don't think Borgonzi answered a single question in that news conference, or maybe one.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the fact that Borgonzi was up there by himself. He addressed why the Titans didn't trade Jeffrey Simmons. He addressed why the Titans traded Jarvis Brownlee. He also did address why the Titans traded Roger McCreary. What did you make of his explanation on that?
Again, I get it. This was a guy, once again, we talked about this at the beginning of the season. This is a guy that was on an expiring contract, and he wasn't going, and I specifically said he wasn't going to be a part of their plans. I didn't think anyway. And they traded him away. And the explanation, I'm cool with the explanation, because if he's not going to be a part of what you are doing moving forward, and you knew that, you weren't going to offer him a contract, or at least not anything that he would take seriously, then you allow the player to move on. And like Borgonzi said, the Rams just so happened to show a lot of interest in McQuarrie, and they end up getting their 5th round pick back. So that was a really good move, I believe, because a guy you're not going to sign back. You lost the 5th round pick the year prior through a trade, and now you're able to regain that 5th round pick from the Rams once again. So I get it. I think it was a good move. I think it also was a good move of trading Draymond Jones and getting what you got for him that could potentially be a 4th. If he gets 2 sacks in Baltimore, and Baltimore goes to the playoffs, so it can't be and or. It has to be both.
It has to be both.
Yes. So that was a really good move, because again,
I like that trade.
Exactly. Again, he knew the likelihood, because Draymond Jones was going to have a good season, and he was going to get paid somewhere. Somebody, I don't know if he had another year left on his contract or not, but he was going to want a new deal eventually. So why not, again, get something for him? Because he's not going to be a part, as good as he was playing, he wasn't going to be a part of your plans moving forward. And I'm talking about the immediate future. I'm not talking 3 years, down the line. I'm talking about next season.
The one thing that I wished the Titans would have done more of, I mean, frankly, I wish they would have traded more players.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have traded Arden Key. I wish they would have traded Chigakonkwo. I know there were reports about Calvin Ridley, and I believe Borgonzi addressed this as well. We'll get that clip in just a moment. But I do wish that the Titans, look, I know Borgonzi doesn't want to strip this thing down to the studs,
Mhm.
but, well, let me say this. It will be fascinating to watch the New York Jets
Mhm.
for the rest of this season and over the next couple of years, because the New York Jets traded Sauce Gardner. The New York Jets traded Quinnen Williams. I believe there was a report that Quincy Williams, which who is Quincy Williams? They're brothers, right? Quinnen Williams and Quincy Williams. I believe they're related. There was a report today that Quincy Williams is losing his starting job with the New York Jets, former All-Pro linebacker. So I'm interested to watch the Jets because I think a lot of Titans fans, and I may put myself in this category as well, Derek.
Mhm.
I think a lot of Titans fans wished the Titans did what the Jets did yesterday.
Mhm.
Trade everything you can that has any sort of value. So I want to see what the Jets look like now. Are the Jets even remotely competitive the rest of the season after losing, a top defensive tackle, an all-pro corner? So I think that will be fascinating. Like, Titans fans, this could have been your life if the Jets just completely fall off over the next couple of months. So that's something I'm going to be watching as well.
Yeah, and a lot of other people will be as well. Closer to let's just keep it here. I think Titans fans are going to be watching from afar, especially during the draft, to see what the Jets ultimately do with their picks, and then after that, how many of those picks turn out to be, say, day one starters. So this is always going to be something that, frankly, we look back on. Titan fans look back on, because if it backfires by not making these moves, then you're gonna hear about this all day, every day, and it ain't gonna be good. At least from your fan base, you're gonna hear about it, because what are they gonna say? Well, the Jets gave up all those picks for Quentin. They got all those picks for Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner, and all we had to do was trade Jeffrey Simmons and Aaron Key or somebody, and we would have got some of those picks. We needed those picks, so he understands that will be coming. If what he envisions doesn't happen, quickly. So whether the Titans, whether it works out or not, as far as whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, with them not making any trades today, well, yesterday, with the exception of the two, and when I mean trades, I mean the bigger trades that everybody was looking at, the Calvin Ridleys or the Jeffrey Simmons or the Arden Keys, guys like that, even Chigakonkwo. Trevor brought that up yesterday too. So because you didn't make those moves, your fan base is watching very closely now, and they want to see what you do. That's why it was good for Borgonzi to come out the day after and explain to the fan base, because he was right. There have been some moves where he's heard about it. He's telling you he's heard about it. He's telling you yesterday they were listening, because what did he say? Yeah, people were shocked we didn't make that move or this move.
He called the Jarvis Brownlee
Yeah.
trade controversial.
Exactly.
Because
So
he knows what the reaction was.
exactly. So he's listening. They're listening. So listen, if it doesn't work, then he's gonna have to hear it. But I'm with him when you're talking about, not trading Jeffrey Simmons, at least not for what was given to the Jets for Quentin Williams, because frankly, people think that Jeffrey Simmons is better. So if he's better, I want more. That's just the way that's just the way it is. If I think my product is better, then I'm going to command more, not less than what you just gave that guy. And his product isn't like my product. No way, no how. But I understand why he didn't trade Jeff. And I'm okay with it. Now, this, who this affects the most?
Who's that?
This affects Jeffrey Simmons the most. Because now what they're saying is, you are our leader. You're the face right now. You are. Because you are the biggest draw, and they did not move you. And they said, nope. We ain't moving Jeffrey. I don't care we are not moving. That's what you say about quarterbacks. That's what you say about elite top tier players. Guys that are the DNA of your organization, or what you want your organization to be. So they just told Jeffrey Simmons, you are, until Cam Ward gets up to speed, and he's lagging right now, but he's a rookie. You expect that. But until he gets up to speed, you are our face. You are our leader. Now it's what do you do with that? I think he's going to be great, but what do you do with that? I don't think anybody thought about that. Like how much of a spotlight now it puts on Jeffrey Simmons.
So Mike Borgonzi was asked today about not making more trades before the deadline. Here's how he responded.
Thought you guys might be more active leading up to the trade deadline as well.
Yeah.
I wonder how much did injuries maybe to some players play a part in maybe not making more deals?
No. We look at everything and the value of it and who's valuable for the team right now. And there's some guys who are on expiring deals this year that still have 8 games here to evaluate, and they've done some good things. Yeah.
I guess maybe to follow, just to follow on that, I guess how much do you balance, as you said, building for the future, but you still want to field a somewhat competitive team?
Sure, there's balance there. We have 8 games left. If we thought there was a value there, like I said, we talked to 31 other teams. I'm not going to get into every discussion we had. And, a lot of teams have called us, obviously. We weren't looking to acquire players at this point. It's more for draft capital for the future. But yeah, that all comes into play.
Caleb on our text line says, is Jeffrey Simmons supposed to be back playing after the bye? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out. Hamstrings can be tricky.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think any determination has been made about when Jeffrey Simmons will be back. I assume he'll try to give it a go when the Titans return to practice next week. They are off this weekend. One texter on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com says, I feel like Mike Borgonzi is not trying to blow smoke up our asses, and it's been a long time. I wish he came on to tell us Brinker was fired, because as long as he's around, it's going to be a question mark. And I think it would be in the Titans' best interest to allow Mike Borgonzi to be the face of the front office.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people are curious about Chad Brinker and his influence in the organization, and we'll get more into that because that was addressed today as well. But as I've said, I like the way Borgonzi handled himself today. And I think if the Titans want to give off the vibe that they know what they're doing, I think you leave Chad Brinker in the back. Let Chad Brinker be the supreme ruler of football behind the scenes, in the shadows, whatever you want to say. Let Borgonzi be the public face of the front office. Let Borgonzi take the lead on the coaching search. Let Borgonzi take the lead on transactions. He's got the winning pedigree from Kansas City. You can sell that. So I think if this is the beginning of Mike Borgonzi's going to be handling all of this, I think that's the right call.
It should be. He's the GM. I don't, again, Brinker, I'm sure he does his job, whatever they're asking him to do, and he's doing it very well, according to them. So I'm not going to sit here and diminish what he does for the team, but nobody wants to see him. Like no, seriously, the fans doesn't want to see the guy above the GM. They just want to see the GM because they hadn't been able to see him, or they hadn't been able to listen to him talk one-on-one and him describe this team. They finally got it. And you know what it was? It was Barry. It's Barry Trotz in the flesh. He was honest. He told you, our roster's not that good. We don't have many leaders. This is why I did certain things. This guy didn't mesh well with the locker room. He didn't throw anybody under the bus, but he explained it in a way that people was like, okay, I know what I know what you mean. I get it. You are being professional, and you know that just because it didn't work here with a player doesn't mean he can't go somewhere else and it worked there. So he gave you answers in a way that I think Barry does it. Barry may be a little bit more truthful and go in depth, but I think he did what Barry did. And maybe the Titans are taking a page out of that whenever they're on. Like, just put the GM on and just be honest with your fan base. That's all you got to do. And he did it he did it from what I saw. That's what he did in his press conference.
Joel on our text line says, so is Jeffrey Simmons the only capable leader? Like your mid-morning show, if Simmons is traded, it's next man up. And another texter along similar lines brought up how ironic it is that we talk about how great, Kevin Byard could have been for Jarvis Brownlee, but we're looking to trade Jeffrey Simmons as a Titans fan. So look, I'm feeling a bit conflicted because I still very much am on the side of the Titans should have traded Jeffrey Simmons. And look, the Titans can still trade Jeffrey Simmons.
Oh, yeah.
They can still trade Jeffrey Simmons in the offseason. He'll be healed from his hamstring injury. You've got the Quinnen Williams trade as the blueprint. If you're the Titans, you can say the asking price for Jeffrey Simmons starts at the Quinnen Williams deal. And we think Jeffrey Simmons has been playing better than Quinnen Williams, so we may ask you for a little bit more. But the bare minimum we will accept in a trade for Jeffrey Simmons is what Quinnen Williams went for to the Cowboys. So it doesn't have to happen. I get it. A lot of us wanted to see it happen by yesterday. It could still happen in the offseason. At the same time, I'm hearing what you're saying, Derek, and I do think there is value in trying to build that culture. Again, I thought the most illuminating comment Mike Borgonzi made today was when discussing the trade of Jarvis Brownlee 6 weeks later. He said, we don't have the culture right now to make a leader out of Jarvis Brownlee. So they believe that Jeffrey Simmons has more value as a leader than a first-round pick and a second-round pick.
It's not even making a leader out of Jarvis Brownlee. It's just allowing him the space to grow into the player he's going to be with veteran guys. It's easier for a young guy when he has veteran guys around to grow into what he's going to ultimately be. Why? Because those veteran guys keep him sort of in check, keep those guardrails around a young player, whether it's a young defensive back, whether it's a young wide receiver, pull him to the side, talk to him, let him know, hey, it's long season, whatever. You're able, and then when he sort of is getting a little antsy, that veteran guy is able to kind of, hey, they don't have enough of those guys. One guy can't be running around to 52 other players, 51 other players. He just can't do it. It's too much. So this team doesn't have enough of those guys that has been in the league long enough, that has matured into leaders. Do they got young guys? Listen, this is another reason quickly. When you talk about, okay, there has to be other leaders on this team, or guys that could potentially be on this team, leaders on this team. Pollard is from a different team, got drafted by a different team. Calvin Ridley is from a different team. We're talking about guys, older guys. Lloyd Cushenberry is from a different team, and he was hurt. Kevin Zeitler just got here, and he's from a different team. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Dan Moore, first year, he's from a different team. Joseph Day, he's came from a different team. Who else? Let me see. Arden Key, Xavier Wood. We can go down the line. And the only guy that has been here is Jeff, and he's grown into that leadership. But the other guys that they're depending on, they're young guys. Cam Ward, Alec Allmanner, DK, Gunnar Helm, Cedric Gray. Guys like that are young. Darrell Baker Jr. These guys are young. Can they ultimately be leaders one day? I'm sure Cedric Gray will be one of the leaders. I guarantee you. But right now, he's not there yet. I'm not saying that he doesn't show leadership. I'm just saying he's not at a point where we can say, okay, you are our leader. Jeffrey is, and he's probably the only one at this point, because Amani Hooker, he's there, but he's not playing well. So I get why I get when people say, well, you trade away Jeff, you get the most. I understand that. I don't understand that. But I also know that sometimes having that veteran in your locker room that shows leadership trumps trying to get an extra pick or two.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your thoughts on Mike Borgonzi's news conference post NFL trade deadline. He talked Jeffrey Simmons. He talked Jarvis Brownlee. He talked about the direction of the franchise. What did you like? What didn't you like about what you heard from Mike Borgonzi today? 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll take a quick Titans breather. We'll discuss the first CFP rankings released last night. Vanderbilt lands at number 16. What did we learn about the committee's priorities? We'll discuss that coming up next. Derek Mason and Adam Vingan. We are presented to you by Bax Homeworks. Financing options are available to make your remodel easier than you think. With Bax Homeworks, get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com.
Hey, Derek Mason here, and you heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at CoolSpringsMD.com. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting some type of goal to shed some extra pounds, only to face disappointment. But I got some news, and it's good because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offered a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Willie Donick out today. We send our well wishes to Willie Donick. He's been under the weather. We hope to have Willie back tomorrow when we are at Bridgestone Arena. Predators and Flyers, 7 o'clock puck drop, 6 o'clock pregame, as always, right here on 1025 The Game. Speaking of games you can hear on our networks, the Vanderbilt Commodores will take on the Auburn Tigers this Saturday. Pregame begins at 1:30 on 94.9 The Fan. Kickoff is at 3. Vanderbilt football is brought to you by Gary Force Acura, Jimmy Kelly Steakhouse, and Smoky Mountain Tops. I'm incredibly disappointed that the Auburn Tigers fired Hugh Freeze because it would have given Diego Pavia one more opportunity to beat Hugh Freeze. He would have been, he is 3-0 in his career. Well, he'll finish 3-0 in his collegiate career against Hugh Freeze. So Diego Pavia was Hugh Freeze's personal boogeyman. But now that the Tigers have fired Hugh Freeze, Diego Pavia will not get a fourth opportunity to beat Hugh Freeze. But the CFP rankings came out last night, and the Commodores landed at number 16 out of 25. Tennessee, by the way, at 25. Vanderbilt at number 16. And Derek, as we've been talking about this over the last couple of days, you said that Vanderbilt needed to be in that first 4 out section in order to really have a chance to make it into the actual college football playoff field. By the way, here is how the college football playoff bracket would look based on the rankings in week 1 of the first rankings. Ohio State, number 1, Indiana, number 2, Texas A&M, number 3, Alabama, number 4. Remember, it's a straight seeding format this season. The conference champions are not guaranteed buys into the quarterfinals. So Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama 4. Those 4 clubs would get buys into the quarterfinals. The first round matchups. 12th ranked Memphis at 5th ranked Georgia. 9th ranked Oregon at 8th ranked Texas Tech. 11th ranked Virginia at 6th ranked Ole Miss. 10th ranked Notre Dame at 7th ranked BYU. So, Derek, when you look at where Vanderbilt is ranked in the college football playoff rankings, look, there are going to be more of these. There are still games left to play. But it's a good exercise in what Vanderbilt needs to do. I think both you and I thought this is around the area Vanderbilt would be. Are you feeling better, worse, or neutral about their hopes to make the college football playoff based on the rankings last night?
The way they were talking last night, Texas probably the only team that can lose 3 games and still make it to the college football playoffs. The way they were talking last night.
Texas has a tough schedule remaining. They're at Georgia next Saturday. They host Arkansas. They wrap up the regular season at home against Texas A&M. So if they go 2-1, which means they win either at Georgia or at home against Texas A&M, they will have played. They opened the season at Ohio State. They lost there. They beat Oklahoma. They beat Vanderbilt. I mean, I think a 9-3 Texas has a legitimate shot.
So if you're telling me a 9-3 Texas has a legitimate shot, you're telling me a 9-3 Vandy has no shot.
Oh,
whatsoever.
Absolutely. The first things first.
Yes.
Vanderbilt has to win out.
Yeah, that's what they have to do.
They can't lose again. It's going to take more than that. But the first thing is the Commodores must run the table, which means they need to beat Auburn at home. They need to beat Kentucky at home, and they need to go to Neyland Stadium and beat Tennessee.
Yeah, I would assume if that does happen, because no matter what, you still got Ohio State, Michigan, and nobody knows how that turns out. So that would give Ohio State a loss. I know in the big scheme of things, Ohio State will still end up making it with 1 loss, but these are things that can happen as the season goes on. You look at other teams that are ahead of Vanderbilt. If Vandy just wins, and I do believe this, if they win every game from here on out, they make it. I'm not sure why you leave them out if they win the remainder of their games. I get it. The teams that they played at the beginning they were ranked, but a few of those teams have fallen off. But yet and still, they beat those teams at that point when they were ranked. They had a hard-fought one with Missouri, but they found a way to win. That's what good teams do. They found a way to win. They were toe-to-toe with Alabama. 2 key mistakes cost them the game. Texas, they showed they had some resolve, a lot of resolve. They came back in that game. So you just can't dismiss Vandy and say, oh, they 10-2, but they're not. They wouldn't qualify, or they haven't proven that they're one of the top 12 teams in college football. If they went out, they would have shown that you have to look at that as saying they are one of the top teams in the country and they deserve to be in a college football playoff. But if they lose a game, you might as well forget it.
Right. No, they can't lose another game.
No.
That's first and foremost. But Aria Gerson of the Tennessean makes this interesting point. So the win at South Carolina, the win against LSU, they don't matter as much anymore because those teams have fallen off. Aria points out, quote, the Commodores' only win over a CFP-ranked team is over number 22 Missouri. Even winning out would not help this aspect, as Tennessee came in at number 25 and would almost certainly fall out of the rankings with a loss to Vanderbilt. So it's a bit of a catch-22, no?
He's saying
she's saying that the Commodores' only win against a CFP-ranked opponent is Missouri, who's number 22, right?
Yes.
She is saying that even if Vanderbilt wins out, which we agree they have to do, that means a win against Tennessee, which is ranked 25th. But if Vanderbilt beats Tennessee, Tennessee is probably falling out of the rankings.
Oh, of course.
So that win doesn't look as impressive.
But see, in herein lies the problem. I don't care where the team is weeks after I play them. Where were they when I played them? They were number whatever. Okay, I beat them. Where was this team? Okay, I beat them. Yeah, I lost to this team. Hard fought battle. Lost to this team. Will Vandy be the only team that would be guilty of something like this? Like beating the team early in the season. If that's the case, really, outside of Texas, Ohio State don't have no big wins. Penn State is gone. But we know by the eye test, Ohio State is probably the best team, if not the second best team in the country, by the eye test. If you look at their record, they don't have no big wins other than Texas, and people are writing Texas off for a minute there until they beat Vandy. So now all of a sudden, that don't work for Vandy, but it works for Ohio State or some other team. That's the part I don't like. Like, oh, well, they played them what are they now? I don't care what they are now. When we played them, they were ranked here, and we beat them. When we played this team, they were ranked here, so forth and so on. So somebody has to lose. And if you beat a top 10 team, typically that team's going to drop. Or if you beat a top 20 team, that team's going to drop.
So, for example, Oregon. Oregon is 7-1.
Oregon shouldn't be up there if that's the case.
Oregon's marquee win this season was a double overtime win at Penn State when Penn State was ranked 3rd in the country. And Penn State is nowhere near 3rd in the country anymore. They lost at home to Indiana.
It wasn't just a loss. It was a beatdown.
30-20 was the final score.
It was a beatdown. They wasn't even closer than that. It wasn't close.
But Oregon has 3 games remaining against ranked opponents. I believe all 3 of these teams were in the CFP rankings: Iowa, USC, and Washington.
So if they beat Iowa, that puts them out, because right now Iowa is what? 20. So say if they beat Iowa, and Iowa has a tough game this week against SC, I believe. Is it SC? They have a tough game.
Oregon plays Iowa this week.
Okay. So then Oregon beats Iowa. Iowa falls further down the road. So you can't use that same logic. Well, Vandy, when they play, see, to me, this is a way they try to they make excuses or whatnot for the teams they want in. Because we can say that about just about every team on this thing, with the exception of Indiana. Indiana's damn good. But every other team, Alabama's good too. But every other team, yeah, at the beginning of the season, they beat, and then look at where those teams are at now. A lot of them are falling. So now that only applies to Vandy. So if Vandy wins out, they still going to have to sort of bogart their way into the club because, oh, when we played these teams, they were ranked, but they're not ranked anymore. That don't make no sense.
615-737-1025. We will take your thoughts on the first CFP rankings. Vanderbilt lands at number 16. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. The Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us in roughly 15 minutes. At 5:20, we will have Silly Underdog Picks. I will be serving as acting commissioner with Willie Donick on the shelf today. Be listening during the 5 o'clock hour for the cue to call to represent the people. The people won last week. The people picked Oklahoma to beat Tennessee, and the winner got tickets to see Bryan Adams at Bridgestone Arena.
Okay.
The prize this week, if you represent the people and pick correctly, a pair of tickets for Music City Madness when the Tennessee Volunteers play the Illinois Fighting Illini at Bridgestone Arena on Saturday, December 6th. That's men's basketball, by the way. So if you want a pair of tickets to see the Vols basketball team at Bridgestone Arena in about a month from now, be listening for the cue to call in the 5 o'clock hour to represent the people in Silly Underdog Picks. We're talking the CFP rankings. Vanderbilt lands at number 16, so the Commodores are out of the field. Again, quickly, the 12-team bracket projection based on the first CFP rankings. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Alabama go right to the quarterfinals. First round matchups: Memphis at Georgia, Oregon at Texas Tech, Virginia at Ole Miss, Notre Dame at BYU. And we're talking about the path for Vanderbilt to get into the 12-team field. First things first, the Commodores cannot lose another game. It's as simple as that. They also need some help. Aria Gerson of the Tennesseans spells it out well. Quote, to get in the top 7 non-champions, meaning conference champions, Vanderbilt needs to be ranked higher than Texas and Oklahoma, meaning Texas and Oklahoma must lose another game. The Commodores will also likely need one of the Big 12 teams or Notre Dame to fail to qualify for the playoff. The easiest path for this to happen would be BYU sweeping Texas Tech, giving the Red Raiders 3 losses, or for Notre Dame to pick up a 3rd loss. So there is a path for Vanderbilt. But
It's a narrow path.
But it's going to be tough.
It's a narrow path, but it's a path. And this is where it's not about if you lose, it's when you lose. It's when you lose these games or when you win these games. Because say, now you play, one of these teams that were not ranked. If you were a ranked team and you
Vanderbilt plays Auburn on Saturday.
Auburn. Yeah. And say for Auburn's sake, say it wouldn't have been good playing. It would have been good for Auburn if they played Vandy at the beginning, because what has bore out was Vandy's been a good team. So if you play Vandy early in the season and you win, that holds a lot of weight. It hurts Vandy because ultimately Auburn's not a good team, but it helps Auburn in a sense. You play them late in the season and say they started off as a good team and they end up being right outside the top 25. That victory doesn't help you. Doesn't help you at all. I think it should help you more if you play them at the beginning of the season and they're ranked, but obviously that's not the case. At least that's what the voters are saying. It's not necessarily, it's where did you play, when did you play them, and where were they ranked at that time, and then subsequently, where were they ranked, say 2-3 weeks later? They take all that into account. Not instead of just saying, where was that team ranked when you played them and you beat them, and you were the team that started the downfall for this team. Doesn't mean that team's bad. Maybe they lost 3 games. Is that a bad team, or just a team that ends up going through a gauntlet of a schedule, ends up falling out of top 20, top 25, top 20? The SEC will have that. A 3-loss team or 4-loss team that ends up falling way down in the ranks. But that's still a good team, and they got 4 losses. Why? Because they played in the toughest conference in America. It's good for Texas, but it's not good for Vandy. You see what I'm saying? Texas can lose again, and Vandy can't.
Well, Texas has 2 top 5 teams on its remaining schedule. So those would be, quote unquote, good losses versus Vanderbilt losing to Auburn or Kentucky. Those would not be good losses.
No, not now. I mean, ever anyway, because neither one of them were ranked during the season. But I'm saying when you play a ranked team at the beginning of the season, say the first 3 or 4 weeks, why should that be held against you if that team then falls out of the top 20 or top 25?
So Ralph Russo of The Athletic, who covers college football, had his breakdown of the first college football playoff rankings and looked at some scenarios for each major conference. So for the SEC, scenario 1, he calls the Fantastic Four. Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss all went out in the regular season, eliminating Texas, Missouri, and Oklahoma along the way. Add in Vanderbilt taking another loss, and that would leave the SEC with 4 teams with at least 11 wins and nobody else with a strong claim to make the field.
Here's another thing that can hurt Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even UT. It is in a sense, but it's not them playing each other. If UT lose to Florida, that Vandy game, that really, what does that mean for Vandy in a sense? Because now UT just fell off. They fell out of the top 25. So if we are going to, sort of gauge everybody on the same thing, wouldn't that be that's not a good win if they win, right? Would it be a good win? Because UT's out of the top 25 and they lost to an unranked team, Florida team, even though we know how that rivalry is.
Scenario 2, which Ralph Russo calls Greg Sankey's dream. There is a way to get to the end of the regular season with 7 SEC teams at 10-2 or better. The most difficult part of that scenario is Texas sweeping Georgia and Texas A&M, but getting Vanderbilt and the winner of Missouri, Oklahoma to 10-2 would only require a couple of modest upsets. Scenario 3, horns up. The haters will say it's not real, but at least a couple of SEC teams could finish 9-3 and make a case to be in the CFP, none more so than Texas, which could split with Georgia and Texas A&M and add that victory to wins against Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. Yes, Florida would be a bad loss, but as of now, nobody has played Ohio State closer than Texas. This is already making fans angry.
Exactly.
So writes.
It's like, so Texas close loss to Ohio State is more acceptable than Vandy's close loss to Alabama and their close loss to Texas, even though I know they had to make a comeback, but yet and still, Texas is okay. We're good. Texas, you good. You play Ohio State, the #1 team in the nation, close. But Vandy plays 2 top-ranked teams and play them both close, and that's counted against Vandy. You see how that don't make sense? It really doesn't.
I have a headache.
I know.
I have a headache.
It's so much, but this is why we like
to play all of these things out.
This is why it's chaos, and that's what they want.
Right. Really, when it comes down to it for the Commodores, you just have to win.
Yes.
You cannot lose another game this season. And it would help if Vanderbilt went to Tennessee in this scenario and won dominantly. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. Lenny on our text line says Texas is a non-issue. They are going to lose 2 more games. I don't know that.
Yeah,
Texas looked pretty damn good on Saturday. Maybe they have finally figured things out. So that game at home at the end of the season against Texas A&M looms large. One texter says, what about Louisville? They are 7-1 and they beat Miami when they were number 2 in Miami, and their only loss was to Virginia. Again, all of this is making my head hurt. It's just one college football playoff rankings. I think Vanderbilt is appropriately seeded based on what happened on Saturday. I'm curious where Vanderbilt would have been ranked had they beaten Texas.
I think they would be in Texas spot.
Yeah.
11. Somewhere around
they would
11,
probably
12,
be
11, 10, 11.
The Commodores would probably be the first team out of the field had they beaten Texas.
No, I think if they would have beaten Texas, you would have had. See, here's the thing. If they would have beaten Texas, looking at what the committee, how they voted, you would have had to put them in front of Notre Dame. You would have had to, because they would have better wins than Notre Dame.
Man, you can really tie yourself in knots trying to figure out what all of this is. We'll have Jonathan Hutton help us. He's good at this. We'll have Jonathan Hutton help us out with what the first CFP rankings told us. We'll also get into the NFL trade deadline with our friend Jonathan Hutton. Coming up next, 615-737-1037. 1025. Greg Roberts on our text line says, an AI powered BCS solves all the issues. No, that was one of the reasons I didn't love college football when I was younger. When I was younger, I was like, wait a minute. The championship game is determined by a computer. That's really dumb. Like that was one thing that had me out on college football when I was younger. So no BCS 2.0, Greg. Do not put that evil on me. 615-737-1025. Jonathan Hutton will join us next. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Derek Mason here, and if you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. They understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, David Janes here with you. Pleased to be joined, as we are every Wednesday at 5 o'clock, by our friend Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick. Hello, Hutton. How are you?
Gentlemen, I'm doing great. Hope you are.
We are. Thank you so much for joining us, as always. We were just talking about the first CFP rankings. So I want your opinion. What was your number one takeaway from the first edition of the CFP rankings last night?
Well, first off, to me, there's going to be a 3-loss SEC team that's going to get in. I believe it's not going to be over Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to be in, and the path right now with all of these quote unquote elimination games that we're watching, guys, with within the conference. I'm looking around these other conferences, going, man, what? It's apples to oranges with the schedule. And look at Notre Dame's schedule. I mean, starting 0-2, they remained in the top 25. That's when we knew they're going to make the playoff, because if they went out, and they're about to. Look, I think there will be a group of 3-loss SEC teams, a handful of them, that are going to be right in the same position that Alabama was in last year, that South Carolina was able to climb and make an argument for. We know what happened last year. This year, I don't, based on the emphasis that and Greg Sankey and everyone screaming from the top of the mountain about strength of schedule and tweaking different things for that room, I don't see how they leave out one of these top contenders in the SEC. They're going to lose a game just based on schedule alone. And based on where Vanderbilt is, I would have. By the way, I would have loved to have seen Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech win to see what would have happened in these rankings last night. It's a TV show. I get it. They're making drama out of these rankings. But when it comes to Vandy, the last thing that they needed to happen, other than the loss, was for Tennessee to lose, because now they need that last game against Tennessee to be impactful, and almost in essence a play-in game in and of itself. They don't have that now. I think that's detrimental to them and their hopes.
So I think we all assume, Hutton, that Texas is the team that can go 9-3 and still make the playoff because of how tough the Longhorns' remaining schedule is.
Right.
Outside of Texas, which other SEC team that could go 9-3 could stake a claim to a spot? Because Derek and I believe that Vanderbilt has to win out. A 9-3 Vanderbilt team, I don't think, is making the college football playoff. So which other SEC teams outside of Texas could go 9-3 and still make the playoff?
Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss.
That's true. I guess I was thinking more of like the mushy middle of the SEC.
I know where you're going with that, but like there are teams that I think would make a great argument based on how they finish. Let me give an example. Do you have the rankings in front of you, by the way? Where is Missouri right now?
I believe 20. I believe 22. I will pull up the rankings right
22.
now.
22. Their upcoming schedule. They've got a schedule where if they were to rattle off 3 straight wins, and Oklahoma takes care of business moving. Oklahoma's got a tough finish here too. They meet, I believe, in the final game of the season. That's another Vanderbilt Tennessee-esque type matchup right there.
November 22nd, Missouri and Oklahoma.
That is, if they both could match up again. I don't think Oklahoma's winning out. I don't think Missouri is. I'm trying to portray like all these different pieces to the puzzle that would be a 3-loss team. The SEC would be clamoring for that run at the end to be impactful, and Oklahoma certainly would be a team that could do it. And again, they went on the road and won at Tennessee. I think that's big because I believe Tennessee is the only 3-loss team that is in the top 25 this week. Is that correct?
Let me double check that for you.
Sorry for asking questions live.
No, they may be.
That's okay.
I mean, but the committee and the AP voters still value Tennessee.
You are correct. They are the only 3-loss team in the top 25.
So but Oklahoma needs Tennessee to continue to win. They need Tennessee to win at Florida. There are a lot of other pieces around the conference that need to take place. But yeah, I can see a 3-loss team getting in, and it'll piss off a lot of people. But quite frankly, I can't argue against it. I don't think we're going to see the same type of matchups that we saw last year. I think the committee is going to abruptly adjust to how they saw the opening round games and some of the blowouts we saw.
Let's turn our attention toward the NFL trade deadline.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question that we have been discussing over the past couple of days. Willie and I are on one side, Derek is on the other.
Okay.
If the Dallas Cowboys would have offered the same package for Quinnen Williams, or excuse me, for Jeffrey Simmons, as they
Right.
did for Quinnen Williams, would you have taken it, yes or no?
Yes.
All right,
would
so it's
have.
3-1, Derek.
Mhm.
Derek, so
Hey,
Mace,
no,
here's why.
it's 2-3 because Borgonzi said.
Well, of
he didn't
course
take
he's
it.
going to say
Exactly.
that.
So I trump ball y'all.
Here, okay, I know. I heard Borgonzi too. He was adamant about that. I believe him, but here's why. The trade deadline for the Tennessee Titans was another loss on their season, right there. This is the New York Jets. They have 2 first-rounders next year. They have 5, I believe, over the next two years.
They have 3 in 2027, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go. They have 5 first-round picks in 2 years. The Cleveland Browns have 2 picks because of the Travis Hunter trade.
Mm-hmm.
The Los Angeles Rams have 2 first-round picks in April's draft. The Dallas Cowboys. I'm looking at this going. That's how you get better through the draft. You don't do this by having a bunch of little late round pick, 15 second day, third day picks, and all of a sudden rebuild the roster. Like if you're building through the draft over time in a rebuild, that's how you do it. I'm not saying the Jets are going to get it right, but they did what they had to do in a season where they're overhauling. That's fine. The Titans. I'm not giving away Jeffrey Simmons. But you better believe that if I had that same offer, I'm taking it. Just based on where this team is. Keep this in mind. The Jets, just surface level viewing this, the Jets had pieces that other teams were willing to part ways with very high draft capital to acquire that they felt would be pieces to the puzzle of this year to help them make a run for it. Now, Dallas is Dallas in this situation. But what we saw with Indy is a great example. It's either they didn't get the offer that they wanted, or they refused to trade certain players. If they refuse to trade, that's what I'm saying. I'm taking the draft pick. If they didn't get offers that they wanted, that's also indicative of you view this Titans roster as filled as a depth chart with players that are likely game day inactives in December for you. So you're not going to pay the high price. I was surprised that we didn't see a little bit more movement, quite frankly. Even with T'Vondre Sweat, or we can continue to go down the list. I thought we would see some movement, especially up front of the defensive line.
And Hud, this thing is not over, as we all know. I mean, listen, as they did with AJ, they can make a trade during the draft, and they can get possibly more than what they would have gotten, or they may get right around what the Jets were able to get for Quinn Williams. But also, we forget that this team's going to they're going to have a top 2 pick. So they can choose to move out of that pick if they feel, if these quarterbacks, if you get 2 to 3 quarterbacks in this draft that just starts to, get on fire, and they go into the process and they're the talk of the town. That's what I want as a Titan fan, is that you have 3 guys up there that everybody wants, or at least 2 that everybody wants. And if I got the number 1 or 2 pick, I'm trading it away. So it's not all lost. I think people are looking at, they didn't make this trade, so they had an opportunity, they missed. No, there's still opportunities down the road that the Titans can capitalize. Even the opportunity of trading Jeffrey Simmons, which I don't think they will. That opportunity is still there. Also the opportunity, because the way it's looking right now, they will have the number 1 pick. Them and New Orleans are running neck to neck. So if I get the number 1, I can get back those picks and even more that I would have got from Jeffrey. If I get a number 2, I may get the same picks that I got for Jeff. And I understand that people say, well, you could have got them both. I get that. But it's not like I'm losing anything. If indeed I still finish as a top 2 drafting team, I still depending on how this sort of process works out with the draft, I still can accumulate draft picks the way you do, the way you have been accumulating draft picks for years. Just make draft day draft day trades and get those picks, and then you can proceed from there. So I understand what people are saying about Jeff and getting the picks. I get that. But if you didn't come to the table with what I was offering, then I don't want to talk to you.
Well, okay. I know where you're going with that. I'm not saying I would want to trade Jeffrey Simmons. I feel like they needed to.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I like Jeffrey Simmons, the player. I mean, he's just your most valuable piece. They traded high with some of the other guys that they moved off the roster. You know, like I felt like they had to come away. I don't think they came away with a win. You know, like there was an opportunity, especially at that position, to acquire some legit draft capital for them. Those are premier elite talented players at the top of the draft. To have multiple picks is, I mean, that's huge. You can maneuver up or down, right? And you can acquire more, whatever. And just keep in mind though, like you could trade before the draft or trade on draft day, but unless it's Jeffrey Simmons, if I'm a team, I don't need to trade for T'Vondre Sweat then, because I needed a piece now, and I can find T'Vondre Sweat in the draft with one of my picks already. So, you know, or Denver may be looking for a tight end. Like the mid round to late round picks that they have or that they acquired is okay, but there has to be a piece to the puzzle that gets you going with a plan where you get some instant help for a quarterback that's struggling.
I think the draft is an opportunity,
and you focus on true pieces that can immediately come in and help you. Unlike guys that are eventually be developed, everybody's going to be developed, but you need we're the elite, just raw talented players. The Titans don't have many of those guys at all. Like I know it's the NFL, everybody's a pro, but you know what I'm saying. This roster compared to others, they don't have that. They need multiple pieces to this. It's not just one first round pick that gets them over the top. And I think it's just indicative of how bad the roster is, that they had one or two guys they could trade. They chose not to, or they just didn't get the offer. But we know the offer was there for the Jets to part ways with Quentin Williams. And that's a premium price as well for Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, but I think this is a team. And I feel better knowing that this may have been a Borgonzi thing than a Brinker thing of not trading Jeffrey Simmons for this fact, is that he understands that, oh yeah, I can get some picks for Jeff. I understand that. But where my locker room is at, I can't afford to give Jeff away for picks. I understand what the people are saying, and yes, he would have more than likely got you what Quinn Williams got you. But we're not in that position we don't have that luxury to do that because we don't have any leaders.
What Quinn Williams, he's a better player.
Yeah, and that's why I told the guys yesterday, if you're offering me a 2 and a 1, I'm not taking it because Jeff's a better player. You give me two 1s, then we can talk. But if you just give me a second this year and a 1 next year, I get it. That's good, you know, from a good return. But I believe my guy is better than that guy. So you better ante it up before I even start thinking about trading Jeff. But the leadership for this team, talent, yes, they need it.
Yes.
But for the last 2 to 3 years, what have they not had? Leadership.
Ultimately, that leader, Mace, is going to be Cam Ward, right?
But until then, because people are not sold on Cam Ward, really.
I know.
So, but until then, we've told Jeff, you are the face of our franchise. That's what you told him. Now it's up to him to take that serious.
To choose from, you know?
Yeah.
Like that. Other than Cam Ward, which jersey are you buying right now?
I don't know, Keith Bullock.
It's just Jeff. I mean,
and Bullock ain't even on the team.
I did look for Derek Mason jerseys on eBay the other day just to see what I could find.
You probably find 1 or 2 sprinkle here and there.
I found a couple.
Yeah, sprinkle here and there. So, but no, you're right. in when you're talking about that. But I just think,
Yeah, I mean, okay. The other thing I thought was Borgonzi's plan. Like, I still don't know what it is and the identity, like the descriptions of stuff. We can get into that later. But I do think with just observing what's happened in the draft, this past draft, which was turned out to be what looks like really good. And then Jeffrey Simmons in the comments made about it. It fits the Kansas City model. I mean, Chris Jones defensively for them, right? Like I'm trying to piece together things that
some
he's
similarities.
saying. Yeah. And I think if you just follow that with, again, apples to oranges with Cam Ward compared to Patrick Mahomes and how they started their careers, you get where I'm going though. Like there are pieces to what Kansas City is made up with that are superior to the Titans, but the model of which he's following is that's what he knows. And on the interior is Chris Jones, who is the face of that defensive front for them that has been through the Super Bowl runs. But where are we? Okay, but where are we with 2027 with Simmons? You know what I'm saying? Like the investment now means what? Yeah, I mean, hopefully he stays on the field. I am surprised they didn't trade Tavondre. I am.
Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow has been our guest on D Mace, Vingen, and Donick. He joins us every Wednesday at 5:00. Hutton, great stuff as always. We'll catch up next week.
I'm eager to listen to silly underdog picks. I'm curious if anyone will be considering the Auburn Tigers this week.
You never know.
We'll see. Always a great tease for silly underdog picks. That is coming up next. Thank you, Hutton. 615-737-1025. I will be serving as acting commissioner today in place of the ill Willie Donick. Ill will, we'll call him. We don't have any ill will towards Willie, but he is ill will today. Silly Underdog Picks is coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason. Oh, Willie Donick's not here. Derek Mason and Adam Vingen. Bad habit. Well, it's not a bad habit. It's a good habit because I love both of them. DVD is presented to you by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. It is time for Silly Underdog Picks presented by our friends at Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Although Willie Donick is not here today, he is here in spirit. So we're still going to play the song. David, hit it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another round of Silly Underdog Picks presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. I am not Willie D. I am Adam Vingan, filling in for Willie Donick, who is under the weather. And he has bestowed upon me this great honor of filling in as commissioner for Silly Underdog Picks. I'm here. Derek Mason is here. Apparently, Chris Sanders will not be here. David James just came into the studio and said that Chris Sanders is not showing up for some reason. And as acting commissioner, I'm going to take away 21.5 points from Chris Sanders for not showing up.
Well, you are a commissioner.
That is right. I am king for the day. But let's welcome in our other contestant who is actually here. Hal Gill joins us on our phone line. Hal, first of all, great job last night being called in from the bullpen, from the radio program, from the radio call to the television call of the Predators game against Minnesota, helping our friend Willie Donick. Fabulous job.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you know what? I'm always there for Willie. I got Willie's back anytime you need. So I was happy to jump in, and man, what a crazy game. I mean, like, I'm still trying to break it down, digest it, and now I'm starting to think about football, and it's like, you know, I got hockey on the brain, and it's there's a lot to digest in that game. That was a good one.
How is our friend Big Bill doing? I can't imagine how rough he looked after that game because he sounded rough.
He's an absolute warrior. I offered him a beer, and he said I can't do it. He's on the shelf. You know, after that game, you know. But you got to appreciate a teammate who pours everything out.
Yes.
You know, D-Mace, right?
Yes.
You want that guy in your corner.
Absolutely.
He'll empty the tank for you. He'll give you everything you got. Willie's a warrior, and I appreciate him. And so, you know, happy to jump in. It was a fun game.
So let's recap last week of Silly Underdog Picks. We will start with Hal Gill, who had the first selection last week. He took the Cincinnati Bearcats, a 10-point underdog against the Utah Utes. And it did not go well for the Bearcats. They fell 45-14. This is not the first time you've gone with Cincinnati, Hal. What happened?
You know what? That's one of those things where I have to trust in the process, and I'm gonna keep making my picks, and I have to trust in my team and the players around me that are supporting me, and we're gonna get through this. But we're just making bad picks, to be honest with you. But that's the whole point of Silly Underdogs. It wouldn't be very much fun if they won all the time. Sometimes you got to take your lumps, and you just got to trust in what you're doing. And so I don't know if I'll ever go with Cincy again. Sorry, Bearcat.
Hal picked Cincinnati. It does not go Hal's way. I had the second pick last week. It also did not go my way. I took Wake Forest, a 10-point underdog against Florida State. And if you thought Hal's score was lopsided, get a load of mine. Florida State wins 42-7.
Wow.
I thought that Florida State, which was winless in the ACC, I thought Wake Forest had a good shot. Didn't happen. So I take yet another loss. So Hal is not alone in the losers column last week. We'll go to Chris Sanders, who did we get an excuse, David, as to why Chris Sanders isn't here?
I never got an excuse. I just got a text from someone saying, hey, he won't make it, and here are his picks.
Well,
That's
you
what
know
I
what?
got.
You know what? Chris Sanders has a big head. He normally has a big head, but he has an even bigger head because I saw the Tennessee Titans published a Where Are They Now feature on their YouTube page about Chris Sanders. So Chris Sanders apparently feeling himself and decided to big time us here on Silly Underdog Picks. As acting commissioner, I will talk to the actual commissioner to see if we can dock Chris Sanders his 21.5 points for not showing up. But Chris Sanders went to the well once again with the Stanford Cardinal.
Shut up.
Was that Chris?
Yeah, I'm here, Buster.
I don't know what's going on.
Perfect timing, Chris. I can tell all of our listeners that you picked Stanford, a 14.5-point underdog to defeat Pitt, which did not happen. Pitt wins 35-20.
Hey, what place are you in?
We'll get there. We'll get there. I thought you were big timing us.
No, I was in practice. I got a game tomorrow.
Well, I did like the feature the Titans did on you, the "Where Are They Now"
Oh,
feature. It was
thank you,
very
man.
nice. It's very nice.
You sound like you made me sound old.
You're helping the kids. You're helping the kids.
Love the kids. Love the kids.
Love the kids.
So that takes us to Derek Mason. Derek Mason had the final selection
boo.
of last week's selections. He took Navy, a 6.5-point underdog against North Texas. And the Mean Green came away with a 31-17 win.
Yeah. Mean Green whopping machine. That's just what they did to Navy.
So we all lost last week. So the standings remain the same. Derek Mason
You're
still
still
in
last.
first place. Chris, I am the acting commissioner today, so I can make your life incredibly difficult. Derek still in first place with 32 points. Hal Gill in second place with 25. Chris in third place with 21.5. And
Yeah.
I am in last place at 18. So the
Hey.
order of selection this week, I will go first, followed by Chris Sanders, followed
Yes,
by
sir.
Derek Mason, followed by Hal Gill. So David, let's start with me. All right. I have the first pick, and I am going to an incredibly intriguing matchup, a matchup with significant college football playoff implications.
Oh,
The
no.
7th-ranked BYU Cougars, 8-0 on the road at number 8 Texas Tech, 8-1
Ooh.
Texas Tech. A 10-point favorite at home is Texas Tech, but I will take the Cougars to defeat Texas Tech on the road on Saturday. So BYU is a 10-point road dog at Texas Tech. An intriguing matchup, huge implications on the CFP race. So I will take BYU to remain undefeated by defeating Texas Tech. That takes us to Chris Sanders.
Hey. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? All righty.
What you got
Thank
for us,
you.
Chris?
All right, here we go. Since Adam is in last place, because, that's where he stands, I'm going to go with Penn State over Indiana. 15.
Whoa.
Penn State over
Yep, and they're gonna be-
Indiana.
Yep.
Penn
That's
State
going to be
is a
gonna be their Super Bowl.
14.5-point underdog at home against second-ranked, undefeated Indiana. So Chris Sanders going for yet another big game here. 14.5 points at stake for Chris Sanders as he picks the Nittany Lions at home against the undefeated Hoosiers. That takes us to the third pick, Derek Mason.
All right. I am going to go I'm going to go outside the box a little bit. Okay. I'm going with the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest.
Bad call after what happened last week.
I know.
Bad call. But Derek is taking Wake Forest.
Wake Forest.
I took Wake Forest last week. It did not go well for me. But Derek apparently did not see Wake Forest get bludgeoned by Florida State. So
Yeah,
Derek is
I'm
taking
taking
Wake Forest, a 6.5-point underdog on the road at 8-1 Virginia. So Derek apparently just blacking out last weekend when Wake Forest went to Florida State and got its butt kicked.
Mollywopped.
He is going with the Demon Deacons against the Cavaliers, a 6.5-point underdog on the road. And finally, that takes us to our main man, Hal Gill.
All right. Stop playing the song because my head is spinning, and that's just getting me excited. I don't know what to do. This is a tough one. I won't lie to you. This is a tough one for me. I have some options, and I do like some of your takes, but I really feel like I need a game, and this is killing me because I'm going to take a game that's going on the same time. The Preds are playing a 2:30 start Saturday game, and this is going to butt heads with that. And you know, it's not a good look if I don't pay attention to the game I'm calling. You know, so I probably should focus on hockey, but I'm going to probably be focusing on Iowa taking down Oregon.
Okay.
Ooh,
Dog.
that's a good pick.
I think
Bluegill, that's a good one.
Iowa is a
Mitch,
6.5 point underdog at home against 9th ranked Oregon. So that game kicks off at 2:30, as Hal said, right when the Predators are taking on the Dallas Stars on Saturday at Bridgestone Arena. So Hal's attention will be divided. He can multi-view it perhaps. But Iowa, a 6.5 point home dog against the Ducks. So let us recap our picks for this week of silly underdog picks. I had the first pick, and I took BYU over Texas Tech. Texas Tech, a 10-point favorite at home against the undefeated Cougars. Chris Sanders, who showed up unfashionably late, took Penn State against Indiana. Indiana, a 14.5 point favorite against the Nittany Lions. Derek Mason, who apparently did not watch any college football last weekend, took Wake Forest to defeat UVA. UVA is a 6.5 point favorite against the Demon Deacons. And finally, Hal Gill, as you just heard, took the Iowa Hawkeyes to take down the Oregon Ducks at home. Oregon, a 6.5 point favorite on the road.
I do like Chris's vote. I mean, I do like Chris's pick.
Thank you.
That Penn State, man, I do like that one. That one, I hate that. Oh, man.
Well, we will all find out together. Gentlemen, good luck.
Yeah. I love you all, but you know what? As every week, I hope y'all lose, and I hope it's not even close. I hope y'all get embarrassed, okay? And then I win, so I can come over here and brag, okay? And be further ahead.
Chris, thank you for showing up. I appreciate it.
All right, fellas.
Thanks, Conway Twitty. Appreciate it.
Okay, 615-737-1025. It is time for you to make your pick. We had a winner last week. Our representative picked Oklahoma to beat Tennessee. And our representative won tickets to see Bryan Adams, I think on Friday, at Bridgestone Arena. So if you want to represent the people, call us right now. Let me tell you what you can win. If you represent the people and win your pick, you will win a pair of tickets to see the Music City Madness, men's college basketball, Illinois versus Tennessee at Bridgestone Arena on Saturday, December 6th. Call now, 615-737-1025. First caller will represent the people. We will get that pick and wrap up the show. Coming up next, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Derek Mason here. If you injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Houston, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Derek Mason and Adam Vingan here with you. Preds Insiders coming up next. Alex Doherty of the Tennessean will join me, filling in for Willie Donick, who we hope to have back with us tomorrow when we are at Bridgestone Arena as the Predators take on the Flyers. Let's get our people's pick for silly underdog picks. Let's go to our phone line and welcome in Randy. Randy, welcome to the competition. Your selection, please.
I'm going with Auburn over Vanderbilt.
Okay. Good luck, Randy. Auburn against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is a 6.5-point favorite at home at First Bank Stadium against Auburn, which just fired Hugh Freeze. So perhaps Auburn can get the same bump that UAB did against Memphis. Sorry, David. But we'll see what happens when Auburn takes on Vanderbilt. And if Randy is right and Auburn pulls off the upset, he will win a pair of tickets to see the Tennessee Volunteers basketball team take on Illinois in the Music City Madness game at Bridgestone Arena on Saturday, December 6th. So good luck to you, Randy. We've already had some winners so far this season. We hope you're a winner too. So, Derek, just to wrap up the show, some more reaction on our discussion about the Titans trade deadline and Jeffrey Simmons. Specifically, Zach on our text line says, I'm with D-Mace on this one. You get rid of Jeffrey Simmons and you literally have no playmakers on your defense left. Maybe they're planning on taking their high first-round pick and trading down a little bit and gaining another first-round pick from that. Why would you trade your most valuable piece? I'm confused at the point of trading the only player on your team with raw talent in hopes that you may get one or two in a draft, which is an unknown.
No, you're right. But again, I get why you would do it. And if they had done it, it would have been like, okay. It wouldn't have been as if I would have pushed back on it 100%. Okay. I would have liked to got more, but okay. But they didn't make it. And I understand why they didn't make the trade, because they feel he's more valuable to them on their team than those picks would be to receive from the Jets or whoever. So again, I understand why people wanted to trade. And I even said, listen, if you're just talking about, wanting Jeff to win and, potentially being part of something special sooner rather than later, then trade him away to a playoff caliber team. I'm good with that. But that's not what they did. They chose to keep him to make him a part of the team moving forward. Not just because of his play, but more importantly, too, because of his leadership.
I thought the most interesting aspect of Borgonzi's news conference was when discussing Jarvis Brownlee and why Brownlee wasn't a fit for the Titans. Even Mike Borgonzi himself referred to the trade as quote unquote controversial because of how we all reacted. Mm-hmm. Derek, you were particularly pissed when the Titans traded Jarvis Brownlee.
Yes.
But Borgonzi talked about how apparently Jarvis Brownlee did not have the traits that the Titans are looking for when it comes to building their culture. And Borgonzi said that we don't have that culture in place right now to take someone like Jarvis Brownlee, who we think needs work in terms of accountability and preparing for games and all of that stuff. We don't think we have the infrastructure to nurture a player like that, which I thought was an interesting admission. And Borgonzi also talked about his experience in Kansas City and the winning culture there. And we know that that's a winning culture because the Chiefs have been the kings of the NFL for several years. But I will be fascinated to see how this team responds when it comes back from its bye week. I thought the timing of the trade deadline was appropriate with the Titans off this week. They come back next week, I believe, against the Houston Texans, who, by the way, I feel have fallen off the face of the earth. I feel like I haven't heard anything about the Texans. Yes, the Titans host the Texans when the Titans return from their bye week. Although the Texans did announce today that C.J. Stroud will be ruled out against the Jaguars because of a concussion. Davis Mills will start at quarterback against Jacksonville. But It'll be interesting to see how the team responds. And I'm particularly interested in how the defense plays, because the defense did well last week against the LA Chargers, despite being shorthanded. But now it's even more shorthanded. Without Draymond Jones, Roger McCreary is gone, Jarvis Brownlee is gone. We'll see if Jeffrey Simmons comes back. But we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Derek. Denard Wilson, he's got a tough hand trying to get the most out of a defense that is severely shorthanded.
And, Borgonzi said he recognizes it. And I think that's why, he spoke, glowingly of, what he's doing as a coach, because he understands that this ain't the ideal situation for anybody. Firing your head coach, trading away defensive players. That's not ideal for a first year defensive coordinator. But these are the breaks, as they say. And he spoke of Denard glowingly, say he's handled it and he's getting the most out of his guys, basically. So I don't know like what this team is what they can do moving forward. Because obviously the trade deadline is over. Now he's just trying to get guys back healthy, especially on defense. Because, the one guy that I think can stake his claim as far as being here next year, I think it is Denard Wilson, because of where that defense is personnel-wise and the guys that are hurt and the guys that have been traded. And if he still gets this defense to get up every game and play good football, they ain't going to win. But if they play good football like they did last week, then that's all you can ask for. Of your coach, because you have basically stripped him of talent, and then the talent that he does have is hurt.
It's going to be tough sledding for the Tennessee Titans for the remainder of the season. And I do want to point out, by the way, I wanted to mention this the other day, but I forgot. So before the season started, Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated predicted every game for every NFL team. And so far, he is perfect for the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, wow.
He had them going 1-8 at the bye with the one win against the Arizona Cardinals. So I wanted to share what his remaining predictions were, but it's not loading, which is just great. Just great. That's why I'm glad the show is over.
The Titans didn't want you to do that.
I guess not. Maybe I'll have it in time for tomorrow. Nevertheless, we will be back tomorrow at 3:00, Bridgestone Arena. Flyers against Predators. Mitch Light will join us to talk college football at 3:40. Elliot Freeman will join us to talk hockey at 5:00. We are hopeful that Willie Donick will be back and feeling better. We missed Willie today. We always miss Willie when he's gone. But Willie, we hope you're feeling better. We held down the fort for you. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3:00. Preds Insiders with me and Alex Doherty is coming up next.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that song. Don't you forget about us, because we will be back tomorrow. Same time, different venue, Bridgestone. See you later. Peace.